Thanks. So we'll start.
Now being recorded.
Okay, so we'll start with the presentation. Angie, if you could start with the first slide. Okay, thanks. So this is the program lineup. We started 6 o'clock, 5 minutes to allow logins and arrival. We'll kickstart this discussion with an introduction of our speaker for today. Then the discussion starts at 6:10 to 6:40. We allow 30 minutes for discussion. Then we'll go for the closing remarks just after we have had our Q&A session. So exactly 6:50, hopefully we should be done with today's presentation. So we'll start with the introduction of our speaker. So this month we've been talking about inventory management. We've already had the daily tips that had been shared on the various Finance Gen platform. And normally as feedback from our audience, we have this practical session where we could delve into the topic and practically how we can use it to assess our businesses as an entrepreneur and as a business person. So for today, we have no other person than Priscilla Adomaku Kwabia. She's an experienced supply chain professional with over 15 years working experience in a leading multinational FMCG company. She's an expert in international logistics, demand and supply planning, warehousing, stock management, customer service, safety, health, and environmental sustainability, as well as continuous excellence and improvement projects. Priscilla has an MSc in international business. Welcome, Priscilla, to Finance Gen Practical Session.
Hello, Jemima. Hello, everyone. Thank you.
Good. So, Priscilla, you take it out from here.
Okay, hello, everyone. Happy to have you here for this month's discussion on inventory management best practices. So before I kickstart the discussion, I'd like to thank Jemima and the Finance Gen team for giving me this opportunity to share with you some best practices when it comes to inventory management. Okay, so I'm told my audience is not a supply chain professionals, or they are not supply chain professionals. So I'd like to do the presentation and then keep it to our barest minimum so that we can understand it better and then apply it to every aspect of our life, whether in the house. If we have a small shop that we are running, we could also apply them as well. So thank you, Jemima, for the opportunity, and thank you everyone too for joining. So inventory is a very interesting topic. I believe we've all used this word in one way or the other. It's something that we use all the time. I hear people say that I'm going to take an inventory of myself. I'm going to take an inventory of all the things that I have. So it's very, very important for us to understand this topic. So before we zoom into our best practices, let's first understand what the basics are when it comes to inventory. So what is inventory? So I was trying to look at a very simple definition that everyone could understand. So when we talk about inventory, it's the list of all the things or the items that we have in a place at a particular point in time. So everything that you have, your possessions, things that you own. So in the house, when you go to your living room, you have a list of all the things that you have, ranging from your chair, your curtains, your fan, they are all your inventory. When you go to your kitchen, all the things that you have, from your foodstuff, the refrigerator, the microwave, everything there. In your bedroom, all the things that you have, in your wardrobe, the clothes that you have, they are all inventory because they are the items that you own, that you have in a specific place at a particular point in time. When we broaden the scope to include what a business organization looks like, inventory has to do with all the materials that a company has that it uses to produce its finished goods that are in turn sold to customers in order to make profits. Okay, so we would like to have an overview of the types of inventory that we have. I said the example of what we can find in our home. So let me share this interesting story with you that a friend shared with me. So the friend told me that she delivered. So after delivery, the father came to have a look at the baby. And then later the dad told her that he was trying to take inventory of all the parts of the baby just to be sure that the baby came with all the parts and that there was no missing parts. So we know inventory taking is very, very important. Even to a newborn baby, you try to check if all the parts that are supposed to be on a normal human being are there, so that if there's anything that you need to really work on, you quickly take the necessary actions before it becomes too late for you to take an action. So having an overview in the first place is good. And then where there are gaps or deviations, you take the necessary actions to address them. So let's look at the types of inventory. So we have, for our audience, I decided to stick to 4 main types of inventory. So we have raw materials. So when we talk about raw material, they are the basic components that are used to produce finished goods. Okay, so I decided to use the example of a tailor because we are all familiar with tailors and seamstresses. Our gentlemen take their fabrics or they even buy sewn shirts from the shop. But let's start from the basics where you buy your fabric yourself and then you take it to either a tailor or the seamstress for him to sew you that nice dress or that nice shirt that you want to wear to an occasion. So the raw material in this case is the fabric that you buy, that you go and give it to the tailor to sew that nice dress or shirt for you. And then at the tailor's end, he also has some raw material that he works with. So we have the thread, the needle, the buttons, and all the other accessories that the tailor will use in sewing that nice dress or that nice shirt that you want him or her to sew it for you. The other type of inventory has to do with work in progress. So this is partly finished goods. So the work in progress is neither a raw material, nor is it a completed product that can be used or that can be useful to the consumer. So still using the tailor and then the fabric that you want to sew as an example. When you take the fabric to the tailor and then with the style giving, the tailor now takes your measurement and then cut the fabrics into different components that will be later joined to form that nice dress or shirt that you want. So these cut components are work in progress. They are things that is being worked on. At this point, you can neither use them nor can they be returned back to their original state. So they are work in progress. And then finally, when this work in progress is transformed, and then it is finalized, what comes out is a finished goods, which is the beautifully sewn dress or shirt that you want or you wanted the tailor to sew for you. So briefly, using the tailor and then the fabric as an example, these are the types of raw materials, the fabric that makes up the raw materials with all the other components. The tailor now cuts it, we have the work in progress, and then what comes out is a shirt or the dress that will be useful to the customer or to the end user, okay? And then finally, we have the MRO or the maintenance, repairs, and operations. So in the course of the work, something could go wrong, either with the machine or with any other part that is being used to produce that useful thing that you want. So we have this maintenance, repairs, and operations items, so that forms part of our inventory. So with the tailors, we know that they have this toolbox with so many parts of the machine. So an example that I would like to use is the oil. So most sewing machines have oil. So anytime the seamstress or the tailor is sewing and then the machine gets into a mood that cannot move and that it needs a little of greasing to make it work better than it is, then the tailor will now get some of the machine oil, lubricate it so that the work can go on. So we have this, and then from time to time, whenever there are issues with the machine, he takes it to a repairer for him or her to fix it, so that he can have a smooth process to have your dress or your shirts readily available for you to wear. So these are the 4 main types of inventory that we have. So when this topic was sent out, some questions came up. Somebody wanted to know the difference between inventory and stocks. These are terminologies that we use interchangeably. So I want to throw some light on what a stock is and then what is an inventory is, so that we can know the difference between it. So when it comes to stocks, they are basically finished goods that are sold to an end user for use, or that are sold to a customer for profit. But when it comes to inventory, we have all these types: the raw materials, the work in progress, the finished goods, and then the MRO. So we can see that inventory is the bigger picture, and then we have the stock coming in. Okay, so using mathematics, simple mathematics, we can say that stock is a subset of inventory. Stock is a subset of inventory, or inventory is a parent, and then stock is a child. But sometimes raw material can also be a stock, whereby the owner or a company decides to sell a raw material to an end user for a profit, or that raw material that is being transformed by the company also serves as a finished product to the customer. In that case, the raw material becomes an inventory to the company that is producing the finished goods, or it becomes a stock to another customer who buys it for profit or for final usage. So that is the difference between stock and inventory. Now let's look at inventory management. How do we manage our inventory? Inventory management is a way of keeping track of your stocks, so that you have an overview of what you have at hand, so that you know what you have holding. If there's any shortfall, you take the necessary actions to address them, because at the end of the day, you are holding the inventory to satisfy a need. And then also let's take note that inventory is money. It is your money that you have used to purchase this inventory. So inventory is also cash. Your money has been locked up in the inventory in the form of raw material, partly finished goods, which is the work in progress, or the finished goods, or the spare parts that you have bought to facilitate the production of your product. Okay, so you should be interested in management of your inventory, so that you don't end up losing all your money. So what are some of the benefits that comes with having a system in place to have an overview and then track all the inventory that we have? So I said earlier that inventory is money. So keeping track of your inventory means that having control over your money. With a report that you have, you know the amount of your money that you have locked up in your inventory as raw material, as work in progress, or as finished goods. Having an overview of it helps you to make decisions, so that you don't end up having all your monies locked up in cash, or where your stock levels, or where all your monies are locked up in raw materials. You can take an action to process them so that they become finished goods, and then you sell them. Or where all your monies too are locked up in finished goods, you take up the action to sell them out, so that you have money in return to take up to take advantage of other opportunities that may exist in your operation. So one of the benefits of inventory management is that it controls your cost by making stock reports available for analysis, so that you know where your money is sitting, whether it's with your raw materials, with your semi-processed material, or with the final product, which is the finished goods. Another benefit is that when you keep track of your stock, like I said earlier, you have an overview of everything that you have. You have a one-stop shop where you can see all the stocks that you have. So the tracking can be in a form of a system-based. It can be in a form of a simple Microsoft Office based like Excel, or you can even have a pen and paper to write all the list of items that you have, so that at a glance, you can know where your money is sitting or where all your stocks are sitting, so that you can take the necessary action. So you have a one-stop shop of all the things that you have. Next benefit, please. Okay, so the next benefit is that it improves your delivery by managing stock out and meeting customer expectation. The main aim of every business is to make profits. We are in a very competitive world, so you need to have an overview of what you have, the inflows and then the outflows, so that at any point in time, you can have goods available at hand to satisfy your customers. Like I said, in the competitive world, some customers are impatient. They cannot wait for you. So if, as a business, you're not tracking your stock, you don't know what you have at hand, a time will come that you'll not be able to satisfy your customers. And then you may end up losing your customers, you may end up losing your profits, and then you may end up losing your market share. So having all your inventory helps you to track what is inside and then what is going out, so that you can delight your customers, and then you can also keep them as well. Another benefit is that it manages planning and forecasting by analyzing your data trends. With your inventory, you plan with it. You know your stock levels, you know your inflows, you know your outflows, and then based on the customer demand patterns, you're able to forecast what the customers will need. We have the seasonal demand. So the quantities that are demanded by customers changes over time. So you should be able to understand your customer needs, understand what the peak periods are, and then based on that, you maintain the appropriate stock levels. There are certain products that are in very high demand during Christmas time. So you don't keep stock of those products at the beginning of the year or middle of the year when they will not be in need. Otherwise, some monies will be locked up in stock. You wouldn't be able to satisfy what the consumers need at a point in time. But when you're able to study their demand trend patterns, and then you have the information, the data to support what they need, then you are able to plan very well, you're able to forecast very well, and then you're able to satisfy your customers in the long run, and then you make profit out of it. And then finally, it reduces time for managing inventory by keeping records in a place. When you have a tracking system in place, at one point in time, you can have an overview of all that you have. But if you don't have any tracking system in place, then if you want to check something, you would have to spend time to go and count. And then depending on the volume of the products that you have, it's going to take so much time. And then in making certain decisions, it takes time. You are not able to make the right decision at the right time, and then you might end up losing certain opportunities that you have. But if you have a system where you track all your inventory, when you open a system and then you say that I want to have an overview of all the Milo or the milk that I have on hand, when you click the system, you see that, oh, when it comes to Milo, for a shop that I'm running, I have, let's say, 10 tins, or I have 100 cartons. Then you're able to know that, oh, this is what I have at hand. Would it be able to satisfy my current demand needs, or I need to reorder more to satisfy my customers? So to the small businesses, those of us who have shops that we are managing, it's good that we have a system in place. Like I said, it can be a simple Excel-based system where you keep track of all the items that you have. You can start by identifying all the items that you have. You write them down, you list them, and then now you can look at the quantities. And then anytime you sell out or some quantities are sold out, you deduct it from it. Anytime you buy some stocks, you add it to it so that you can get your stock at hand. Your stock at hand is what you have available for sale that you can satisfy your consumers with. Okay, so now to our main topic for discussion today, which has to do with best practices. So when we talk about best practices, they are industry accepted way of doing things that have been tested over time, which has proven to be good and which has yielded some benefits. There are so many best practices when it comes to inventory management. but I decided to pick just a few for our consumption so that we can go back and then implement some of these best practices. So the first best practice is that you categorize your inventory using ABC analysis. You do a categorization of your inventory using a simple ABC analysis. So ABC analysis is a technique for arranging your inventory into a hierarchy of most important to the least important item. You analyze your inventory, you categorize them. Which one is more important? Which one is the least important? So we have 3 different categories of inventory. One is under category A, the other one is under category B, and then the last one is under category C. So when you talk about category A items, they are items that are best selling, or they are the fast moving items. They sell very fast. So you place a very high priority on those items. And then they are the items that require constant replenishment. Because they sell fast, you need to replenish so that you always have them in stock. So they become like your priority stock. You give them much focus, because if you don't give them much focus, you run out of stock. And then when your consumers or your customers come around to buy them, you not have some to satisfy them. And then, like I said, if you're not able to satisfy your customers, they might end up leaving. Because if anytime they come, you don't have stock, they will never come back one day. And then you lose them forever to a competitor. And then losing a customer also implies loss in profit. And then eventually, if you're a big company, you lose your market share. So it's very, very important that we do this categorization and then we monitor our stock levels so that whenever we need to reorder or replenish, we do. Using a simple shop, you can decide to study how people buy things or the items that they buy frequently. So using an example of water, water is something that we use almost every day in our lives. We drink water. So water can be categorized as a fast-moving product that we always need to order, make sure that we have water in stock so that when consumers come to buy, you can sell them. And then you can also look at soap. Many families wash once in a week. So keeping a lot of inventory of soap in your shop will not be really good. Your money will be locked up because people will come there once, let's say a week, to buy the powdered soap. And even the powdered soap that they buy, they don't use all at once. Some have a usage period of about 1 month. So this customer will come to your shop once a month. So this category of products, we can classify it under category B. These products are still valuable, but in terms of priority, you don't put them high, you put them medium. And then their replenishment or their reordering, you can consider doing them monthly or weekly, depending on the pattern of sales. And then the last category of item is the class C items. These are the low priority stock. They don't really move very fast. So it's not advisable you lock up your capital in it. We can, in a typical shop, sometimes we have these Christmas items that we buy. They are seasonal items. So you don't invest so much of your capital in such a stock. If you do that, your monies will be locked up because they don't really move that fast. So you can look at a seasonal replenishment, a minimal replenishment at any point in time so that you don't have stock out issues for some of your high priority products. So categorizing your inventory into this ABC analysis is also good. It's a way of organizing your stock in your warehouse or in your shop according to how they sell, how much value they bring to your business, so that you can optimize your storage space, and then you also streamline your fulfillment of your order. Yeah, so the Christmas items as the example, you don't keep them on the shelf because they'll occupy spaces where other fast-moving products could be occupying. So you keep them in your warehouse so that when the time comes, you bring them out for them to be placed on the shelf so that they can be purchased. The second best practice is for you to optimize your pick and pack process. So in optimizing your pick and pack process, it's about a set of procedures and tools that you use to fulfill your customer orders quickly and efficiently. So it's about working efficiently so that you can pick your orders on time, and then anytime they are delivered, you can also pack them on time. They should be arranged. They should be arranged in such a way that when you want to pick something based on a certain pattern, you can quickly pick them. The same way for the packing as well. So in optimizing your pick and pack, you can be looking at having a batch picking when you have a lot size products that are similar, that are produced with the same material, they are stored in one location. Or you can also have the zone picking where your warehouse or where you sell, you zone them into different areas so that whenever you are picking, at a glance, you know that when I go to zone A, that is where we have the, let's say the washing powders. Zone B, that is where we have the soft drinks. We usually see this kind of zoning in our shopping malls where they have really zoned their shops so that you can easily pick items, and also when items are delivered, you can pack them very well in order to ensure efficiency in our operations. The reason why we do this, when you optimize, there are certain benefits that comes with it. It helps you to design your warehouse for efficiency. You're able to pick from the nearest area. Okay, so the water that I spoke about, when it comes to water, it's heavy. So putting water at the far end of your shop in the first place is not good when it comes to carrying. It may take a toll on the health of the people doing the picking, carrying it from one end to the other. So with the categorization that I said, when you do your ABC analysis and then in the design of your warehouse, the items that are frequently in demand, you place them very close to the entrance so that consumers can easily see them and then reach out for them. Sometimes if you place them at a location that they cannot see, they go round. There are some consumers who would be very comfortable to come and ask you where those items are located. Others too, they become frustrated at one point in time and then they might not even ask you where they are located and then they can leave. So let's do this optimization. Let's know what customers pick often so that in the process, we can have them within an arm's reach. Okay, so when you also do this optimization, it keeps your warehouse very organized because your warehouse is well arranged. At any point in time, it is very clean. And then you remove every clutter, everything that is not needed, anything that is not needed in the warehouse or in your shop, you don't keep it there. You only keep things that will be demanded by the consumer or the customer. Then if possible, you can implement a warehouse management system. So it's a system where you have all your items listed in the order that the picker will find it. So in a very big warehouse where customers place orders in very large quantities, we are supposed to have a way of picking our orders so that orders that are in large quantities, we have a way of picking them. Orders that are also in very small quantities, we have a place of picking them. So let's say in your shop, there are some customers who buy in cartons. So the cartons are stored in one location, and then the ones that are purchased in tins or in sachets, you keep them at one place. So when your customers who buy in cartons come, you know where to go and pick the items from. And then when the customers that buy in tins, you also have a place of picking them from. But if you don't have this system in place, like you keep all your carton items together, if one customer comes or wants to purchase one thing, you have to open a box and then pick one thing from it. At one point in time, you may end up having so many cartons that are opened, that are cluttered everywhere, and then taking an inventory of your stock becomes a challenge. So it would be good we have a system in place to ensure that items are picked in an orderly manner. Okay, so the next point is to establish inventory KPI. The KPI stands for Key Performance Indicator. So it's about measuring your performance. There's a saying that you cannot improve what you don't measure. It is only when you measure that you know where your issues are and then what you can do about it. So it's good you set objectives for you to measure so that you become objective in whatever you are doing. It helps you to eliminate guesswork. So for inventory management best practices, it's good if you have a system in place at one point in time, you try to take stock and then you compare your physical stock versus your system stock so that if there's any discrepancy, you can take actions to address them. The discrepancies, when they come, if they are not resolved quickly, they might end up becoming big, and then the stock out become, or the write-offs or the stock that you lose they are your income that you are losing. So we need to have measures in place to track what is moving in and what is moving out in terms of stock losses. You can also have a system in place to check your order status and then the tracking so that whatever orders that you have, you can be following up with them to ensure that they are being delivered to you, and then whatever orders too that you have to deliver to customers, you deliver them on time. The next best practice is to use a batch tracking. So batch tracking, I said it briefly when we're talking about the importance of having an inventory management system. So batch tracking, we sometimes call it lot tracking. So it's a process for tracing your goods along the distribution chain using batch numbers. So a batch refers to a particular set of goods that are produced together, and then that use the same material. So storing like products at the same location. So some products too are likely, they are similar, but when you go deeper into them, you see that there's a difference. So some products have different production period, meaning that they'll have different expiry period. So when you have any of such products, you make sure that you keep products that will expire within the same period at the same location, so that when you are picking them, you know what to pick first and then what not to pick first. Jemima shares something about LIFO, FIFO, and then another new terminology that has come, which is the FIFO. So in your batch tracking, when you are picking, you can have a system to pick using FIFO, which is picking what first came into your warehouse, and then you leave the rest because you have a system to show that what came last are the freshest stock, which you don't want to sell out. Otherwise, selling those ones out first will mean having products that are close to expiry in your warehouse, which might end up expiring and then you might lose from it. So you either use FIFO, and then there's another one that is called FEFO, FEFO, which is first expiry, first out. Sometimes we receive products based on the time that they are produced, but at other times too, if we are tracking our stock very well, we get to know that we receive fresher stock first, and then products that are produced later also come in. So if you are checking and then you want to use the FIFO, you might end up having product that will be close to expiry in your warehouse. So this one you switch to a FIFO, the one that are close to expiry first, you sell them out first, and then you keep the ones that are very fresh so that you can sell them later. These are all ways of managing your stock in the warehouse so that you don't have issues with them. The next best practice is to carry safety stock inventory. So safety stock is a stock that you keep to take care of eventualities that might happen. So sometimes consumer demand changes over time. You are not able to predict consumer behavior. So it's always good that you keep some minimum stock levels to take care of some of these fluctuations in consumer demand so that there will always be stock for them. So safety stock has to do with the minimal stock that you keep. So you don't sell all that you have. If you keep small stock, you don't monitor them, and then you sell everything at one point in time, you will not have anything at hand to sell to consumers. In our daily life, I think we practiced this, especially when it was during the COVID period. Some of us bought so many things, we decided to keep some safety stock for use in case we run out of stock. So it's always good to have safety stock. some of the, especially when you are in a producing company, sometimes where you order your products from, it may take some time. They have longer lead times from the time that you place the order until when the orders are delivered. It takes some time. So it's always good to keep some safety stock for use in case of an emergency so that you don't run out of stock. So let's keep note of this. The next best practice is that you streamline your stock take process. So you should have a system in place to take stocks. Based on what you do, you can decide to do a daily stock take where you compare what you have in your system or on your Excel to what is physically there. If you don't take stocks, you may never know what is going on. There could be some discrepancies which you quickly need to investigate to find out. So you take stock, you have to analyze your situation, and then you decide whether you do a daily stock take, a weekly stock take, or a monthly stock take. But not taking stocks at all is really not the best. You always need to take stocks. So look at your situation, you look at your stock levels, and then you decide when you think you can do the stock take, whether daily, weekly, monthly, or annually. And then lastly, implement an inventory management system. I talked about having an Excel or a sophisticated system to manage your inventory. Having an Excel is fine, or even a notebook is fine, but it comes with some disadvantages. Having a notebook, the notebook could get lost, it could get bent, or something could happen to it, and then you could lose all the information that you have on it. And then also having the Excel, it can sometimes take time for you to update it. It takes time, and you can also end up losing the file entirely. So now most systems are moving into cloud-based. So if you can afford, invest in a cloud-based system that will track all your stocks. Sometimes when we go to the shopping malls, we see that anything that we buy, we scan. In this way, they don't go later to capture the stock out, or even when they receive stock, they just scan. And then by scanning, the system captures what you have received. And then when you also sell out, you scan, and then the system automatically deducts whatever quantities you have sold out. So having a cloud-based system is good. We know it's protected. You cannot lose your data. Is accessible everywhere. But with the Excel and then the notebook, you have to carry them along. When you have it on your laptop, you always have to make sure that it is intact. You have to protect it with a password and all those things. But having the cloud-based system makes the management of stocks very, very easy. You just open the software and then you see all the inventory that you have. You can open it to see the inflows and then the outflows, so that based on that you can you can come out with some trend analysis to know your customer demand patterns, if you need to move on certain stocks or if you need to reduce certain stocks. Some also go beyond the level of even tracking the expiry of the stocks. So it gives you updates on stocks that are close to expiry, so that if you need to take an action to really do some marketing activities to sell them out, you do. So let's consider having an investment in a system that will help us manage our stock very well. Thank you. So these are the best practices that I would like to share with you. If you are doing some, please, let's keep it up. But if you are not, it's not possible for us. It depends on the kind of industry that you find yourself or how big your business is. You cannot implement all these best practices at a time, but depending on what you do, just analyze it very well and then decide which best practice that you want to implement, so that you don't end up losing your money in the form of your inventory. I said inventory is cash, so let's keep a very close eye on our inventory so that we can also protect our capital, our working capital, and then we can also make profits from our operations. Thank you very much. If there are any questions, I'm ready to take them.
Thanks, Priscilla. Thanks for the presentation. Really enjoyed it right from the beginning till the end. Please, if you have any question, you can drop it in the chat box or you raise your hand, those who want to ask. I really enjoyed today's talk. Today, we've seen the difference between stock and what inventory is. We know the difference. We also learned something about the ABC analysis, zoning, log tracking. Even in stock, we have safety stock, then the frequency of stock take. Thank you very much. Today looks like we had a free consultancy on stock management. Um, since they are okay, whilst we wait for the questions, I got some questions ahead of today's meeting. So the first question is saying that, do I need a physical warehouse before I can properly manage my inventory, or I can use my current space?
Okay, so the need for a warehouse really comes to bear depending on the type of business you do and then the stock levels that you keep. So if you are a distributor, you have high volumes, you need a warehouse, a very bigger place. And then please, if I say a warehouse, it can be your house. It can be a dedicated room in your house that you want to keep your stock. So depending on the volume of material that you have, you can have a dedicated place where you store them, and then you have it a warehouse in quote. It doesn't need to be a separate structure, but also depending on the company that you deal with, some companies don't accept using part of your house as a warehouse. They want a dedicated structure with some requirements that you need to meet, or they have some specifications for a warehouse that you need to meet in order to do business with them. And then also looking at the size of your business, your car boots can even be your warehouse where you keep your items for sale. Yeah.
Thanks, Priscilla. The next question comes from one of my audience. He's a fish farmer, and he's asking whether he can apply these best practices to his fishing farming.
Okay, so when I started from the beginning, I said inventory can be applied to every aspect of our lives. I don't really know much about fish farming, but I'm sure there's a way they can track the number of fishes that they have in a pond. So when they are replenishing, when they are bringing new fishes, I don't know how it works though, but at some point in time, you're able to count the number of fishes that you have. If the pond is well organized, like some ponds that I have seen, very cute ponds, you can have a list of the quantity of fishes that you have, the type of fishes, and then anytime you take some out or you sell some out, you deduct it so that you can have an overview of the quantity of fishes and then the type of fishes that you have. Yeah, so it can be applied.
Okay, Priscilla, I think for him, you need a dedicated time for me so that you can help him with this. Okay, so thanks, Ernest. Your question is in the chat. Could you please give us some cloud-based software for inventory management?
So for cloud-based software, what I know is SAP. Okay, so SAP is not just for inventory, it's end-to-end, from finance, manufacturing, so right from production to sales. And then we have the inventory aspect. And the inventory aspect, it even has so many functionalities. So SAP is what I know about that I can recommend. If there's, I'll find out about other softwares and then I'll let Jemima share them with you. But the SAP is end-to-end.
Yeah, so Priscilla, I think for most of the accounting softwares, inventory is key, especially when it comes to the whole P&L. So I've been exposed to Sage as well. So Sage, there's an inventory management, even Tally Accounting does as well. And for ERP, virtually the basis is the same. It's end-to-end, like you said, right from inventory till you get finished goods, you manage your account receivables. But what you said initially is right. If you're a startup, you can start with your Excel. Even if you don't have a laptop or a computer, you can start with your hard paper or your inventory list. Then once the business grows up or you have the capacity to invest in this software, you can do that as well. Another one from Ernest, it's 6:50. I think this should be the last question, but you can send your questions after this. Ernest again, can you also have a warehouse that will not have categorization ABC? Is it optional or is this best practice?
It is, so it's best practice. It's about making your work easier and making you very efficient. So if your warehouse is not organized, sometimes locating something will take a very long time. And then you can, like I said, it comes with these safety issues as well. So if your warehouse is not well arranged, your housekeeping there is bad. You can even end up having a safety issue where product that is badly packed can collapse and then fall on you. So it's a best practice that we encourage you to implement because it makes your work efficient and safer for you and then your employees as well. So please, if you can, kindly do this arrangement. You don't necessarily have to do the ABC type of thing, but just arranging the like items at one location. So let me just add this. It's even good because there are some warehouses where we have consumables mixed with soap and other things. So if you keep all these things together, eventually the scent of the soap end up going into, let's say, Milo. And then when you buy them, you make complaints to Nestle that the product that they are producing has some soap scent in it. Meanwhile, it has to do with the way the products are stored. So when they are stored very well, so it's also good for our products as well, and then also keeping down some of these issues that we can have. So let's try. Let's try. I know it's not easy, but let's try. Let's start from somewhere, and then we'll get there.
Okay, thanks. So, Ernest, I understand SAP is quite expensive, but we are here to support. So you can get in touch. We'll see how best we can help you. And I must say that there's this Finance Gem inventory tracking tool which we can share with you so that you can implement it and give us some feedback. Priscilla from Stephen, great talk. Can you throw a bit more light on inventory valuation? You can start or you want me to take it up? Okay, so Stephen, inventory valuation, the whole essence of inventory management is about the value. So normally what we do is valuation is just a combination of your quantity and your unit cost. So once you're able to manage these best practices that Priscilla has shared today, you do your coding, you know your quantities, then also you should keep track of your unit cost. When you are bringing in the stock, what was it associated cost? So once you have this, then we can value your inventory. And that is very key because as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you just don't want to know the quantities you have. And you know, sometimes it gives you so much peace when you get to know that, wow, my inventory is worth this month. Yes, so inventory valuation has to do with monitoring the quantity of inventory you have as well. But Stephen, we can catch this up and continue in case you want more explanation. Priscilla, your final remarks.
Okay, so my final remarks is that inventory is an everyday thing. So all the best practices that I shared, please, it's not only limited to the work environment or to our shops. We can apply them to our homes as well. So in our kitchen, let's do some arrangements so that the things that we use them frequently, we keep them within an arm's reach. In our wardrobe, like the evaluation Jemima was trying to explain, I was trying to picture with the ladies. Sometimes we have a lot of things. Our clothes, if you should value them, you can really see the amount of your worth. You might think you don't have anything, but if you should value your clothes, your shoes, your bags, you would know the amount of money that you are really investing in them. So let's apply them to our real life so that we can be efficient. We can also save some amount of money, and then we can do some housekeeping so that we only keep the things that we really need at hand.
Thanks, Priscilla. And on behalf of Reginald and the whole team, it is well articulated and passionate presentation.
Isaac cut his hand up.
Isaac.
Hi, Isaac. Your line is not clear.
Isaac, keep speaking. So I don't know if you could put it in the chat.
We can hardly hear you. Please drop your message in the chat.
Okay, so Priscilla, thanks so much for today. We've really had a very nice time learning about best practices. Most of these best practices were new to us as entrepreneurs and business owners, but we thank you that today you took it to the minimum explanation, and we feel so confident about our inventory management. Thank you very much for the time. Pardon us, today we should have closed by 5:50, but we are 6 minutes late. The discussion got interesting. It's good to know now we have a Finance Gem YouTube channel. We are all encouraged to join. All our past videos are there. You can always look at it. Let's also subscribe as well, the Finance Gem YouTube channel, so that we can get access to all these discussions and more. And it's good to know. I'm happy to announce that we have another additional platform. So on Mondays, when you tune your radio to Rainbow Radio 87.5 FM at 4 o'clock to 4:30, the Finance Gem is always there. We share our tips with our audience as well. You can also stream live on Facebook as well. Rainbow Radio 87.5 FM, and you hear the Finance Gem. Interesting topic, interesting programs coming up. Let's all subscribe as we encourage the knowledge of finance. That is one of the vision for the whole Finance Gem project. That is to encourage or to bring finance knowledge to non-finance people, especially entrepreneurs who want to manage their business. Give us feedback on our various platforms. You are welcome. WhatsApp, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. We are every day. I'm also a call away, and we'll be willing to help. Let me take this opportunity to introduce us to our next topic. We are doing budgeting. We all know the year is about to end. A lot of things happening. Please, let's listen to these budgeting tips, and let's have our budgeting before we end the year. Then we can plan for 2022. Hopefully, it's going to be a good year. Thanks, and do have a nice working week. All of